was able to do that because also I watched so much pro. Now it's not. I don't think it's that relatable in hindsight. Like looking back at it now, it's a completely different game.
Right.
But
so in hindsight, you know, given your experiences with the game, given that you've kind of really wanted to take it seriously, you probably would have done it through a complicated champion like Silas. You probably would have tried to do it with something with clearer reference points and something that's a little bit more simple.
Okay. Yeah, and we talked. We went back and forth for a bit, and I was trying to find. I asked for your recommendation of like I really just want a champion. Like who's a champion that's good to learn mid on? Who's a good champion that has good fundamentals? You gave me a list. One of those champions was Ari. I have a cat who is named Ari because she looks exactly like the midnight skin before the rework, and so I decided, I like Ari, so we'll play Ari.
Okay, and so this was your still low plat at the stage, P4 essentially. You've now got Ari. You're still situationally playing Camille mid.
Camille,
so you've got this true champ. Okay, so what were some of the things that we covered when you were low plat, getting those Ari games in? What are some of the things that really kept you in low plat, and what were the things that were holding you there? And in general, what did we work on?
There's a lot of mid lane fundamentals, like learning that like leaning was a thing. I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, because most of the time I'd played jungle or a side lane, so I'm just like, oh, you place a ward and you just sit in your lane. It's fine. So I needed to learn where to place my ward in the mid lane, and that I actually need to play to the side. And like from playing top lane for 2 years, I actually had a decent wave management, but all the other like fundamentals of mid lane.
Warding.
Yeah, resets
leaning.
were terrible. Warding and leaning was terrible.
Right. And so your threat assessment was obviously probably a little bit off as well.
Oh yeah, and honestly, the thing that made me actually start to, I immediately once we had one review on this and I picked up Ari, I implemented one thing to my gameplay and I instantly hit Platinum 2. And that one thing was just having a plan. It didn't matter if the plan was good. It didn't matter if the plan was terrible. It just, if I came in with an idea, I could accurately assess like how that idea played out in the lane. Because if you come in with into a lane with no plan, then you're just kind of throwing things at a wall and you have no intention, right?
Or someone else is going to dictate that plan for you, and then you're not really going to get that money. Yeah. And it ties into one of my favorite quotes, right? Where it's like a poor plan executed well is better than a great plan executed poorly. And even if it's wrong, sometimes it just works anyway. It's like if you really understand what the benefits of that plan are, or what
fucking sediment.
And that's actually, so I actually want to expand.
Damn, my MMR is trash.
Point is that people get really obsessed about having the perfect lane plan. This is how you play the matchup. That's how you play the matchup. At the end of the day, yeah, sure. On paper, objectively, there is like a correct way, right? The most optimal way to play a given matchup, given mid jungle 2v2. But that everyone is playing so poorly, all these ELA brackets, all the way up until Grandmaster anyway, that it doesn't even matter. It really doesn't matter. Pick one thing that somewhat works and commit to it.
Yeah, like I played a game recently that was Ari versus Syndra. Syndra should dumpster Camille or Ari, right? But you know, I took C-Pot, I played the lane super fast, I used my W movement speed to dodge all of her skill shots, and I dumpstered her in late. Like, that's not supposed to happen, but it shows that, you know, different players have different skills at different brackets, and if you know something that your opponent doesn't know, even if it's not correct, sometimes you can abuse that.
100%. Okay, so now we've got into P2 at this stage, simply working on having a plan and brushing up on some of your fundamentals. So your warding and leaning's gotten a little bit better, your resets have gotten a little bit better, started to work on your threat assessment. We're starting to come into lanes with a bit more intention with what you want to do with waves, or like what you're trying to achieve big picture. Like, for example, I want to play fast with C-Pot, or I want to play slow with this, and I want to have these sorts of wave sets. So we've got all that kind of structure there. That gets you to P2. Okay, so walk us through now. P2 to D4, that whole diamond, low diamond, what was going on there?
So,
Minions have spawned.
I have long days at work. Things are really tough sometimes. And I had a really hard time playing with intensity. Like I'd come home and I'd be exhausted, but I was like, I have to get my like at least a 2 block in today. So I tried to play every day. But what I found out is um, having a routine and having consistency with what you want to do, and just outside of like the game, things matter so much. So like what I do now, and I don't, and through my journey up until that point, I had several problems with like, you know, getting upset at times with, you know, the fact that I wasn't doing well, even though I know all these things. Like I want to be able to execute on all this stuff that I know, but I can't. So what I do is, depending on the day and how late it is, when I come home from work, I absolutely love coffee. So I just grab a cup of coffee, sit down, and make sure that I'm fully focused. So I review all my games before I get my block in, and that just builds up my intensity so that I'm like, oh, okay, I'm thinking about the game now. And then once I start thinking about the game, I can actually like fully execute on all these things that I've actually learned.
Okay, so this is very, very interesting. I really want to go. There's so many things here I want to touch on. So, gameplay, champ pools, we add in RE, we work on some of those things we mentioned. That gets us to P2. What pushed you from P2 to low diamond wasn't necessarily learning new things. It was executing on the things that you already know, building muscle memory. But in order to actually build that muscle memory and reduce self-sabotage, you found that having some sort of a process and working on your out of game was the thing that you needed. And for you, that was, you actually reviewed before blocks, which I love. That's actually something that I'm a big advocate of. And for people who are listening who don't really know what that is, typically when you've heard of reviewing, you probably hear of play, review, play, review, play, review. Another method is that of reviewing your past day's games, even if it's not fully in depth, just roughly, to kind of put you
the
like,
fuck?
before you play your next
Okay.
game, because that way you're primed mentally to be like, okay, that's kind of what was going on. I see what sort of mistakes I was making. That it kind of all clicks together, right? And you found that in combination with really having some sort of a process that worked for you. And you said you played in blocks of 2 or blocks of 3.
So it depends. It was blocks
I
of 2
wasn't
to
looking at
4,
my map there.
depending on
Doesn't
my
even
character.
matter though.
So that's exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I had a rule that so I go into work pretty late. I have a flexible schedule, so I can show up at like 10 or 11. So my rule was I never played a game past midnight. And I really tried to get in whatever games I could. I had to start before midnight, because I know that once I hit a certain point in the night, like I'm not gonna be able to really focus on these games, and you lose almost every single one because you're not playing with intensity. So depending on like if I got home like late, if it was a late day, then you know maybe I'd only play a 2 block. But if I got home at 6 p.m. for whatever reason, then yeah, that's gonna be a 4 block night. Because as long as by the 4th game no like major things have happened in the games to frustrate me. Because also if like some teammate was being really toxic for whatever reason, like I mute chat, I have permanently the enemy chat muted, but I keep my team chat on because you know it's sometimes good for communication. But if a game frustrated me, like if I got dumpstered in lane, or if like for whatever reason I felt like previous game was going to affect my next game, I just like we'll review it tomorrow and figure out why this all happened, and then I'll have some closure on it for me to play my next block. But right now I can't deal with this. It's gonna frustrate me and affect my gameplay.
Right. So what's interesting is that do you review at all between your games, or do you leave it all for the next day?
Yes. So what I do with my reviews is I don't review every game really. So if I run into a situation that in-game, like if I'm playing versus a Kindred early, and I get a ward late and she like shows up in that bush and kills me, I'm like, that's obvious. I know why I lost that game. So while I'm in queue the next game, I'm like, yeah, I look at it and I'm like, yep, this is why I lost this lane. Good, checkbox, got it in my mental memory, and I'll move on, you know? Sometimes games are as simple as that, where you just need a reminder of like, hey, I need to do this a little bit better. Other games, you have to really dig and figure out, like, you gotta look back a minute or two and figure out, how did I get so screwed here?
So you
And
were,
those
you
are the
were able
games
to,
that I.
oh, sorry to interrupt, but you were able to like compartmentalize. Okay, there's a mistake that you already understand. You know exactly what the solution is, why it happened. You're able to consolidate that and move on. You don't really need to give it too much time. Other times, you're like, okay, I'm actually kind of confused why that's going on. I actually need to dig a bit deeper. Why did that happen that way? And what's an example of a thing like that you might have to dig a bit deeper on?
If a wave got the most common one was like why a wave got frozen on the other side, or like why I'm getting zoned from this. At least in laning, because laning I think is my weakest point, easily still. So just trying to figure out how I could get out of, because playing Ari is a lot about just surviving most of the time until you hit level 7, and then once you hit level 7 you can just leave lane, and from that point it's, you know, it's pretty like you go bot lane.
Standard. It's not really overly complicated. Yeah. You just want to then hit
no,
Mendic and then play with the jungler
yeah.
and play around secondary wing cons. But getting to your
Exactly.
wave clear breakpoint where you can one-shot the backline, that's kind of
Yeah.
that's a bit tricky.
Exactly. So like if I couldn't get to that point cleanly, like if I ever died, like I hardly ever die before level 7. So if I died, I'm like, that's something I need to figure out why I died. But in the games where I didn't die, it's you know, it's
Okay.
it's pretty not that hard to review. Yeah.
So that all makes sense. So now you're sitting at around what, D4, D3?
Yeah.
D4, D3-ish.
Yep.
Now we've got a better process. We worked on your fundamentals. We've still got this 2-champ pool. What next? What walk us through that D3 to whatever it is. What happens next? Did you go to D2 plateau?
Well-
Did you go straight to master? What happened?
Well, to clarify a little bit, I wasn't in that 2 champion pool at that point. So when I hit platinum, I added Syndra,
Okay.
and then I dropped Camille for Pantheon.
Okay, so we actually so you had a 3-champ pool throughout plat to
Yeah.
diamond. So that was Syndra, Pantheon, Ari.
Yep.
Okay.
And I picked them based on the game state, but Ari was my blind pick. So she was the vast majority of my games. I think it was like 50 or 60% of my games, if not more, were on Ari. So it was really mostly just Ari, but there was that champion in there. And then when I hit Platinum 1, part of I had decided that Syndra was a little bit too complicated for me at the time, because I really like simple, clear reference points, and I wasn't good at laning, so I didn't really feel like Syndra fit me that well. So I added Karma. She's got, you flash W on someone. So my pool getting to diamond was those 3, and then I added Syndra back in midway through my climb to high diamond.
Interesting.
And so my climb from, I still can't believe that this happened, but I hit D4, and I had a straight 65 or 70% win rate for 2 weeks, all the way up to like mid D1. I didn't struggle at all.
And this is all in blocks. This is all in blocks.
All in blocks. All in blocks.
All reviews,
Yeah.
all blocks, process.
Mhm.
And to be clear, was this a 4-champ pool or 3? So did you swap Karma back out for Syndra, or did you keep Karma and then you had the 4-champ pool?
It was mostly just a 3-champ pool.
Okay.
Once I got up to like D2, then I started making it a 4-champ pool.
Okay.
Because I was running into games where I couldn't make anything happen early. Like my bot lane's playing a Soraka support, and my top lane is 2 tanks, and my jungler was like some scaling jungler, and it was just a slow game. So I'm like, well, I mean, while my laning matters as Syndra, it doesn't matter nearly as much in this game because we're gonna scale to mid game anyways. So I might as well pick something that's really strong.
So
Right.
what's really interesting here is that you identified laning as a problem for you pretty early on. Like you kind of knew that laning wasn't your forte, but
Minions have
you know,
spawned.
it seems to me you, rather than trying to massively fix that problem, I mean, you obviously did some things. You worked on your warding and your leading and your threat
Yeah.
assessment and stuff, and and like having a lane plan. But you knew that wasn't your strength as a player. You said, okay, I'm just gonna pick champions that complement my strength as a player. Right, Pantheon
Exactly.
as well, kind of more playing the map, I guess. Ari, you play
Yep.
to play shove and move. Karma,
Yep.
again, simplifies laning phase, very clear references, playing more with the team, which is very, very interesting. A lot of people like to attack their weakness, but you actually doubled down on your strength and
Yep.
created a champ pool for that. So I actually really respect that. It's an interesting way of going about things.
Yep.
Okay, and so then...
And just over time, my laning got better just because, I'm playing these champions so much. And, it was all in my reviews. So, like, my goal was just to not die in my lanes. I push advantage, but my advantage was, like, spreading that advantage to someone else. So, like, I had an interesting philosophy. I remember I had a review with Tim where I told him something, and he's like, that doesn't make any sense. So I had a Pantheon review with him, and I did probably a pretty poor alt bot lane, but it saved my Jinx and it made that wave crash, and it kept her like really good in the game. But mid lane got a little bit messed up. My wave got messed up, and I told him I value my Jinx's status more in this game than mine, because if she's ahead, it's very easy to play team fights. It's very clear, easy reference points for me to work from. So, but if I'm behind, I can be a stun bot. That's fine. I lose a little bit of agency, but it makes the game easier.
Interesting. So you had your this was your philosophy of how you personally like to play the game. I think that's a really important point as well, is that you got to own the way you want to win the game. Because there's many ways, right? You could have played lane bullies, put all the resources on yourself, played to hyper scale, and then have all the eggs on you. You know, all the eggs in one basket. But ultimately, you wanted to be more of a secondary carry, and you played champions that promoted being a secondary carry. Okay. And so you basically didn't. You said in that D4 to D1 climb, you just kind of got the reps in, kept it nice and simple. Maybe and so. Why do you think that was? What do you think made it so easy? Was it because you again worked on your fundamentals through play? What is it? Because a lot of people do struggle with that D4 to D1. Like, what happened there?
So I spent a very long time in high plat. And I think a combination of two things really helped me speed through Diamond. I think what a lot of people fail to understand and fail to, execute on well in Diamond is understanding what everyone else in your team wants.
Yeah.
I was forced to understand what everyone on my team wants and needs by playing a facilitator. Because once I cleaned up my laning enough to get into Diamond, I skyrocketed through Diamond to D1 just because, hey, I know what this person wants, so I know how to play around them. I know that the Hecarim's fed, so all I need to do is charm the Hecarim.
But also, you played other roles. You played top.
Yeah.
You played jungle. You played a bit of everything.
I played collegiate jungle. I played top lane Camille for the past 2 years. I've had friends who I've taught how to play the game. So I played a lot of ADC, teaching them how to lane a support, because a lot of people want to come in and play that. Support's really the only role that I don't have a really solid understanding of. Every other role I understand not to a really high level,
but
I think it's exactly.
I think that's actually a really important point, by the way, because I don't want people to look at the video and be like, oh, this guy's just a talented gamer. He just, look at him. He got to D4 to D1.
I'm not.
That's not at all the case. Okay, so this ties in. I'm so glad you brought this, because this ties into, again, my philosophy about what the climb really looks like, right? We've said this and we've worked on this in reviews where Platinum really is about understanding you've got to have your champ mastery, understanding the jungle 2v2, really start to develop your matchup understanding, all that. And then consistency of fundamentals, all that stuff, and baseline win condition assessment will get you to D4. That D4, especially the D2 to Master, you're really forced to start thinking holistically about the game. And that is a skill that you had already somewhat developed earlier on in your journey. So when it got to that point, all you had to do was connect the two. You had that skill set that was already kind of there. Once we brushed up your laning and your fundamentals, it actually makes perfect sense why you never really struggled to get to Master, or that close that D4 to D1 or D4 to Master. So ultimately, I think I would say that's quite, I wouldn't say it's rare, but I would say it's uncommon, right? Because a lot of people, that have your game knowledge, maybe they wouldn't have swapped around as much and might be already higher reload in the first place, or maybe wouldn't have been in plat for so long. I don't know, it's hard to say, but I think it's important to note that it's not talent, it's just experience. You had the experience over the years. OG, you played the game for a long ass time, you played many roles. That's what led you to speed up that aspect of the climb. And this is the importance of understanding your league journey. Not to mention that you're a sophisticated gamer with like the StarCraft background and many other games as well. So that's really fascinating. So, we've spoken about your process. We've spoken about kind of what the things that we had to work on. So what were some of the, I guess, challenges mentally you faced? You mentioned briefly before, you were getting coaching, so you maybe felt more pressure to get results because you were getting coaching. But what are some of the things that you struggled mentally with, and how did you tackle them? Maybe do both of them.
So I guess because of how League is structured, and because of how the other games that I've played were structured, I had this like expectation where, why am I not Diamond? Like, you gotta really put into perspective, Diamond is what, the top 2.5%? That's what Master was in StarCraft. Like, Diamond was set at the top 20% in StarCraft, and in a lot of other games, it's not. For me, it was overcoming the fact that, you know, hey, I am this rank, right? Platinum is the top 15%. You know, that is the rank that I got, and I needed to not be frustrated that I wasn't getting to Diamond. So that's one of them.
It's like managing expectations and understanding the reality of what actually the ranking means, right?
Exactly. Yeah. One of probably the biggest one that I struggled with during my time in the MLA is accepting ending on a loss. One of my coping, I don't recommend this to anyone, and I did it because I had to. But what I would do, and it really brought clarity to me of how poorly I play when I'm tilted. If I started getting upset after a block, and I felt like, oh man, I have to get a win, I went and played on a Smurf. And I realized, man, I'm losing games when I'm like significantly below, and I'm costing my team these games, because I reviewed some of those. I'm like, wow, I'm playing terribly. So it's like, that's one of the big mental blocks that I came over. It's like, it's okay to end on a loss. It's okay to have a bad block. In fact, I think it's really good to have a bad block, because that means that the next day you get to improve so much. Because if you just have a 3-0 block and you look at your next day, I'm like, man, you know, I'm just gonna work on the same things, I guess. Yeah, you're chilling. But if you have a tough block, man, you really get to look at, I made these mistakes, and I'm like, oh, now I need to look at these things. Now, if you have an 0-3 block, it can be tough, because sometimes there's multiple things you need to work on. But you need to pick one of them. You can't work on all the things at once. You just gotta focus on one until you get it down, and then you're good.
Okay, I want to expand on this, because one of the common critiques or common questions we get in the comment section is something along the lines of, like, you know, reviewing. How do you review and stuff? Now, before you joined the MLA, it seemed like you never really reviewed that much.
No, never.
Right? So you came to the MLA, you had to teach you how to review. What would be some advice that, just based off your experiences, you know, what would be some advice to others you would give about reviewing and developing the skill of reviewing? Because it seems like that really carried you. Like I'm really thinking about your journey right now, and as you're stepping it through, I think your ability to review the games the next day seems to be like literally the crux of your climb.
Yeah. There's that. The one thing that I think is super important, and how I internalize learning something. I'm an audio learner, so I need to talk about things to learn them. So one of the other things that helped me greatly in my climb is the pure VOD review. Just the fact of going in there and looking at other people's mistakes and like just reviewing other people's games. Because I am a firm believer of, you don't truly know something, you can't truly execute on something until you can teach it. Because once you can teach it, it's so core and just so part of who you are that it's just second nature. So I would go into games, and there are a couple friends I have in the Discord that we would gather, and you know, I'd review games that are way lower than mine, and I'd say, oh yeah, this is the consequence of them not doing this. So that would also put in my mind, you know, that. But yeah, that combined with the reviewing beforehand, and it's really just about identifying what you don't know. It's really hard to identify what you don't know, but if you look at other people's games, or even like watching some random VODs on the MLA about like you pointing out mistakes to people, if you point out those mistakes and you see you're pointing out those mistakes in other people's videos, in other people's games, it allows you to look at your game. It's like, am I making that mistake?
So for you, and that's a little bit perspective, and like kind of you felt as though you understood that at the start you probably weren't that great at reviewing, but over time, as you were maybe helping people lower than you, friends or people in the Discord, or whether it be watching other people's reviews, you were slowly kind of ingraining or knowing kind of what to subconsciously look for in your games.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And it was a skill in itself, right? It's not like you came in and you were great at reviewing.
No.
It took time. Okay.
No, I didn't even. I think I remember for our first like month or 2 months, like I didn't even know what to look for, and I think until our 3rd review. So I did a review every 3 weeks, so that would have been 9 weeks in. I didn't even really have a good process at all. And then once we had that last one, I asked you, what am I supposed to be looking for? Like how, like, and then you gave me clear things that I was messing up in the game. And I'm like, okay, so that for the next 3 weeks, I'm just gonna look at this and I'm gonna try and figure out where I'm messing up here. Yeah.
Okay, and so now now you've been through this journey. You know, what are some things that, or like maybe misconceptions you had about the climb? Because obviously you were a genuine platinum player, right? You were a genuine platinum player. You had
9 years.
Yeah, but how long? 9 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 9 years. Like you're a hardcore platinum player. You know, what are some of the I guess maybe misconceptions you had about climbing the League of Legends? Like, because I really struggle to understand what a platinum player thinks of diamond, or what it takes to get to diamond, or or even diamond to master for that matter. Like, what are things now that you look back on, you're like, what was I thinking about in terms of like my perception of that climb, and like maybe what are some misconceptions that you had that that you've been able to consolidate now going through this process?
I guess like some of the stuff I've already said. Like it's okay to end on a loss. You know, you climb more if you stop.
Also, you thought you
like,
needed to play more games in a way rather than sometimes play less. Like you thought you needed to play more to kind of.
Yeah. You don't have to make up for that loss at the end of your block, or if you had an 0-3 block, you don't have to make up for it right now. You know, you can do that the next day. It's fine. You know, quality over quantity matters a lot. Another big thing that I've told some people that have had some frustrations and some ego problems, and like me, I was a platinum player for 9 years. I had ego problems, but honest to God, no one's looking at you. Like every rank is just another step up with a shiny symbol. If you're gold 1, you're hardly different from a platinum 4 player. And it's just a shiny symbol. And if you get it out of your head, like that, oh, it's so big. There's such a big difference between gold 1 and platinum. There's not. Just keep doing what you're doing and you'll get there.
Right. It was like just like breaking it down. It's like just game. It's just gameplay at the end of the day. Like get into the details as well. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's.
Okay, so moving on, I've got some questions here. So would you do anything different if you were to do this climb again? Would you do anything differently, or are you pretty happy with kind of the way you went about things in hindsight?
For the most part, I'm really happy with the way that I did it. I think the big thing that I wouldn't do is I wouldn't tilt Q, because every time I did that, like I've talked a couple times, I regretted it. You just lose a ton of games. And I did that several times, and it definitely hindered my progress. And one thing that I don't regret doing necessarily, but like maybe I would have changed, is that simple champion pool. Like I came to that conclusion a little bit late, but it was pretty early on in my journey. But as you've said so many times, you're learning one thing: you're learning the champion or the game. And I told myself once that I was going to pick up a champion that you recommended that was simple, that I kind of vibed with, because I wanted to learn the game. And I knew that once I learned the game, I'd have a lot more fun playing the more fun champions that I wanted to play. Because I really wanted to play like Silas and Camille and, Akali or Zed or whatever, all these like complicated champions. Not necessarily those ones specific, but I was listing complicated champions. And once you learn those things, I'm planning on coming back to some of those more complicated champions and really trying to have a crack.
Right, yeah, and this is kind of what we mentioned a lot on Growth by Johnson podcast now. Sometimes it is better, or we actually believe that it is better to climb first with maybe champions that are a little bit simpler, versus better quality opponents, truly understand the game, and then we can always revisit these more complex champions, but then you have a much easier time learning them. So I think you definitely did the right thing there. Yeah, so like we mentioned before, were there any stage 4 issues, like you said, ego and things like that, that you had to overcome, or do you think we've addressed that one already?
I think for the most part we've addressed that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, would there be any advice you would give to others? What advice? What are the kind of top, say, 3-ish tips that you would give to others on their climb, given your experiences?
Play with intensity. That's my biggest tip. Because if you're playing with intensity, then you're expressing your best self. And if you're expressing your best self, then
So
there's
intensity
that.
for you means simply expressing your best self, right? It's like coming
Yes.
in, I'm gonna try my best, I'm gonna have a crack, do the best I can. That's what intensity is. So I guess again that question is, what does intensity actually mean?
Yeah. So for me, that means like, as I said, I come home, from a long day, and I only play a 2-block because that's all my brain can handle before I start to get tired. Or some days it's a 4-block. It also means eating dinner before I play. Making sure that everything else in my life is taken care of, and I only have one thing that I need to focus on, and that's the game.
I love it.
The second tip that I would give is play with intention. You'll never learn anything unless you play with intention. Like, if you just dilly-dally and push away for no reason, you'll never understand whether that was a good play or not. But if you try to all in a Fizz as Zed and he E's your ult, well, then right?
So by intention you mean, because again, this is where I feel like you have a really great take, because you've gone through thousands of games, dilly-dallying, if you will, and then now you've been on the other side of the coin, which is like actually playing with intention. Like, so, because again, people get confused with, does that mean, because like when I think about the game, that means I'm probably not going to express my best self instead of overwhelming my mental stack. So how do you find that balance? Is it kind of, like, what advice would you give there? It's not like you're thinking about every decision you're making. It's more about,
No.
What does that
And
mean?
this was a huge problem I had. This was actually a huge problem that I had that helped me a lot. There's a review on the MLA that I watched over and over again because it gave me so much confidence. It was an RA versus Fizz review. And you said, League's this game where you can't focus on everything at once. It's fine and right to sometimes only focus solely on your wave and your opponent because you're safe and you can't die. Other times you realize, oh, my wave's fucked, and I have to figure out how I can get this out. So I don't need to I shouldn't be focusing on the enemy champion. I need to just look at the map and figure out how can I do this safely.
So it's like
League's a game where you can't.
mental
Yeah.
resources.
Yeah, exactly. I remember I was trying to focus on everything at once, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't track the jungler while laning properly and all this stuff. You have to allocate your mental space to specific tasks.
And that's where maybe picking 1 or 2 things you want to maybe direct a little bit more attention towards, at least temporarily, really understand that concept, really develop that muscle memory. And then once that's kind of deeply ingrained, then we've expanded our mental stack, we understand that a little bit more, we don't have to think about that as much, and then we can allocate mental resources elsewhere, right? And then that just goes on forever in a way, right? It's like there is always levels to developing your mental stack, because when the opponent gets better as you climb, something that maybe once was a habit that you didn't have to think about is now, oh shit, that's actually quite difficult. I actually have to allocate more mental resources. Slane's getting in my face, and I've never played a matchup like this. And then it rinse, repeat. So it never ends.
Exactly. the super important thing is you really just focus on the one thing, because if you just, it doesn't matter if you die for other reasons. It doesn't matter if you're losing the game for the other reasons. If you focus on the one thing, eventually that one thing will become so ingrained that you won't have to think about it, and then you can focus on something else, and you'll never die to the other thing that you messed up.
That's right, and that's where it comes into consistency. It's like okay, let's say there are 5 reasons I could die in places.
Yep.
If I focus on all of them at the same time, I'm always going to die to one of those 5 things over the course of 50 games. But if I focus on one of them for like say 15 games, and then then at least I know I'm not going to die to that ever again. So I've only got 4 ways I can die, and then you just chop them down one by one, right?
Yep. Exactly.
But
Exactly.
you know
That's exactly what I did.
That requires foresight, it requires patience, and it requires a respect for the difficulty of the game, and it requires a respect for the muscle memory and the mental stack. Because this is the thing that you have, Zach, and I think a lot of people struggle with is, again, that understanding of what actually makes good League of Legends, and what the learning journey actually looks like, and the respect for the mental stack. If you don't understand that concept of the mental stack, and you don't feel it, like you don't feel it in game, it's so hard. I mean, it's just so goddamn hard. You're going to be overwhelmed forever. And it just takes time. It takes time and energy.
Yeah. I think the last thing that I would give advice to someone else is don't be afraid to try. Like, I remember part of my climb to D4 was fixing my skirmishing. I was in P1, like 50 LP or whatever. I was almost a diamond promo so many times, and I realized that my skirmishing wasn't up to snuff. I wasn't going out on all these opportunities. I was missing a ton of picks on Ari, which is super important. So I decided every time I see a play, I'm just gonna go. Well, I almost hit P4, which was a little bit demotivating. But right after that, and I just learned so much from my journey down. That's as soon as I got back up to Plat 1, I hit Diamond, and I went straight to Masters from there. So it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to try and mess up. You'll learn more that way. You can either make mistakes, lose games, learn and climb, or you can sit plateaued and keep that ego.
And sit in your little comfort bubble. Right? That's really what it comes down to. 100% agree. And it's scary though. It's scary to do that because when you make the play, when you make that decision in the game, you're thinking everyone's looking at you. It's your fault. And they're right. It is your fault. But at least they're going to be sitting over there in the same range for years. You're going to be actually learning. You get something from this game. And then no matter what, you lose. So what? These people don't really matter to you. They don't give a shit. You're never going to see them again. You don't know them in real life. Like, literally, go next, you learn, take something, move on. Your learning journey is so much faster, but it requires bravery, right? You got to be quite brave, and you got to have a
It's
craft.
not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not at all.
It is 100% super hard to do. Incredibly. Like, I was so upset when I was hitting Plat 4 almost, and I was like, man, what am I doing wrong here? But, you know, the results show themselves. Like, you'll never learn anything if you don't try.
100%. So last thing here, before we maybe take a look at some of your gameplay, what was the thing about the MLA that you found the most helpful? Maybe outside the coaching, like maybe outside the coaching side of the MLA, what was the thing about the MLA that you enjoyed the most? You found the most helpful?
The thing I enjoyed the most was definitely the pure VOD review. The thing that I think was probably the most helpful was all the VODs on the MLA. Because being an audio learner, I need someone to tell me something for me to really learn it. So just hearing you or Tim explain those concepts to other people really helped me like get it in my brain. So I just think there's so much value in all the VODs up there. You can learn so much from really any of them. That's what I found the most valuable.
Beautiful. All right, so what we'll do, we're going to go, so what I decided, we're going to go through the first maybe 10 minutes of maybe one of your earlier VODs, and maybe the first 10 minutes of a ladder bot in your journey, and then we can kind of just riff off what we see,
Sure.
and then go from there. Okay, so we're diving in. This was when you were how many games deep into Ari? Sorry.
This was about 20 to 25 games. We're
Okay.
sitting around Plat 4.
Okay, P4, very early on in our journey. So, I think what
Yes.
we're going to do is just kind of, baseline, take a look at where your gameplay was at a baseline level. This is when, you were saying that laning wasn't one of your strong points.
Yeah.
So walk us through, this early on in your journey, were you trying to experiment with certain things? Like, what was going through your mind heading into these sorts of games this early on in your journey?
So I was just trying a bunch of different things.
Okay.
For instance, this game, I don't quite remember it too well, but I think my intent with this was I'd played a VOD recently. Oh, I remember. I had played a VOD recently where I pushed a Syndra in and absolutely dumpstered her.
Yeah.
But this Syndra murders me.
Yeah.
And I'm so confused why.
Right, but I can see that you are playing with intention, right? You're trying something.
Yes.
You're I can see that you're not just sitting there playing co-op versus AI, playing really scared. You're trying something, and now I can see that there's a lot of
The
sloppy
Qs are terrible.
Your wave's in a really awkward position. You've got hit by many Qs. You've kind of basically now zoned yourself and already used
Burned both my pots.
by 2 minutes 30. I mean, this is genuine P4 level. Maybe
Yeah.
even lower. Ari.
Oh,
Ari
yeah,
gameplay.
because my laning was easily my worst. This is gold level laning.
Yeah, right.
Because this is my weakest point. I was terrible at laning. I had no idea how to hold abilities or
Yeah.
how to anything like that. All I had, I was just throwing on a Q because I wasn't even timing with last hits. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Right, so this early on, you weren't even. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, because think about it, you played a lot of champs like Camille, right, where it wasn't really about, you weren't timing.
I never
ranged
played
abilities.
champions.
Okay, that makes so much sense. I'm this is very unsophisticated laning. I can see that. So what you essentially tried to do here was a classic kind of use offense as defense strategy. But the problem with it is that you got hit by every ability.
Yep.
You didn't. You kind of. I mean, that was good. That Q was actually quite nice. But then you didn't really know how to bait out abilities, and you're kind of just.
I'm also being so indecisive there.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Even now, I have a plan, but it's not I'm not fully committing to my plan.
Yeah. But and in this time in your journey, by the way, it's not like you were super clear. It's not like you clearly understood what was going wrong and why. It's like you were just baseline. Okay, you might take maybe one thing or two things away from it. And I think that it's important to put in perspective is that there's so much going wrong here, right? There is maybe not really there's matchup understanding problems specific to Syndra, right? Not really knowing the cooldowns of this matchup very well. There was, baiting out ability problems, right? And this is there's no way you're going to have the mental stack to actually bait out abilities this early on in your journey. There is, lane hypothesis with the Syndra. There's also probably inconsistent fundamentals. There was no ward during that entire time. So there's a lot going on here, and this is kind of what we're talking about. You've got to pick one thing, and ultimately one or two things. You're not going to improve at everything at the exact same time, and this is why this early on in your journey, it really is about getting the reps in, but it's about getting the reps in with intention, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. At this point, I wasn't even I think this was before you'd even told me that my wording and leading was bad and all this other stuff.
Right.
So all you said from my first review, which is I think all we had at this point, was just come in with a hypothesis and try it. So that's what I was doing in my games. I was like, I'm gonna just try and heavy trade this Syndra, even though I didn't even really know what that was.
Right, yeah.
And I'm just gonna see what happens. And sometimes you get dumpstered like this.
Well, but sometimes, I mean, this is a great trade. Here you end up using your W reactively, what it seemed like, and end up getting a really solid trade. And here, because there was not many minions, you could actually walk kind of past the wave and make a really great trade. So you can see there's these shining moments with okay. But again, that is an example of a trade that you learn a lot from, because you can go back in the review and be like, okay, well, that trade went pretty well. Now you're starting to actually
Yes.
use your. I can see here you're starting to now. Okay, I can actually use my W more reactive here to some of these abilities. Okay, and you
Yeah.
can see how slowly, even within the game itself, things are clicking because you are kind of playing with intention.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I think we're starting to see, you know, over time, this is kind of the beginning of the way your style of Ari, which is right. You definitely like to play for Shove, you definitely like to play for Prido, and you definitely wanted to
Yeah, I
find a
just
way.
love sitting in rivers.
Yeah,
A
like,
big
in fact,
thing
you
that I
are.
have, my philosophy on Ari, and one thing that I've discovered is sitting in the river allows your side lanes to heavy trade without the enemy being able to heavy trade back. And it's so powerful.
Very powerful, yeah. I
And
just
here
wanna-
you see another example of like me playing terribly because I blow my first R for nothing.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
there's some intention in going bot lane, but I completely throw my most impactful part of the game away.
And when you look at this is again Ari specifics. I mean, ultimately this was never gankable, right? Like when you look at it
Yeah.
now, I mean, we probably worked on this as well. Like this is never gankable.
Yes.
They're reacting to a wave.
Yes.
Your jungler's basing on the other side of the map.
Yep.
You know, and again, this is
It's a Zeri Yumi,
Zeri Yumi.
which is terrible early.
We have no idea where their jungler is. You're pinging on my way out.
I'm trolling and look at my phone.
Exactly.
Makes absolutely no sense. And not to mention, you throw out your charm. You should never be throwing out
Yep.
your charm. You should literally just be holding
Mhm.
your charm reactive. And then you also forget about the Syndra, your mental cycle as well. And then that's like end of review right there anyway. You're 26 CS by 6 minutes. You've wasted your first R. You
Yep.
know,
And that's how I review a game like this. I come in and be like, you know, I wasted my first R. That's a big reference point on Ari. So that's also like one of the big things I looked at. If my first R doesn't make a good impact, then I go look at that. But you learn a lot from this game because yeah, I tried. I made a lot of mistakes in the lane, and then also my first R didn't work out. So I try to figure out why didn't my first R work
why
out.
did the roam not work? Yeah, and then move on.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yep.
So,
Exactly.
This is I mean, this is a real. We don't even need to go deeper. This is just a taste test of like where you were at as a player. So what we can do is just quickly dive into maybe one of your higher reload VODs and just kind of contrast the early lane here. So this one is in D1, relatively recent game here. Bit of an unconventional matchup with that of the Nasus. So do you remember what your hypothesis was in this one?
Yeah. So I wanted to 3-stack and harass him as much as possible. I did start Charm because there's an invade and we got a kill, which is kind of unfortunate. But Nasus shouldn't be able to do anything, and you should be able to, in the first 2 waves, just completely run him out of resources, get a ward after the second wave, or even after the first wave, and then harass him under tower and maybe kill him. You know, call for your jungler to help.
So you can see there's a lot more control here, right? You can see, again, the direct intention with the wave. You have a hypothesis. Very, very good patience. Look at the patience on the E there. Again, old Jew probably would have threw out that charm. I mean, not probably, I think
Oh, yeah.
100%.
100%.
Very nice short trades. Very, very good. I mean, and it doesn't even look like the same play. I mean, you can argue that this is an easier matchup, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way you would have played it. I mean, look at the Q accuracy. Like the beautiful auto W Qs there. I mean, and this is just such a clean levels 1 to 3. And this is the result, you know, the direct result of having a freed up mental stack and having intention. And
Yep.
over time, slowly and surely developing your matchup understanding. So we'll continue on. And out of interest, you know, it's something we didn't talk about in the actual kind of conversation. You know, what's your philosophy on builds? So, you know, a lot of people like to, you know, kind of, I guess, specialize in a particular build, or did you alternate builds? What was your philosophy on that?
So my current philosophy is in the loading screen, what I do is I think, okay, what's my job gonna be this game? So if I'm gonna be the engage, I go Everfrost, right? If my team has a low damage ADC and they're all tanks, you know, then I'll go Leandre's, but that's very rarely gonna happen. If I'm solo AP and my team has engaged, then I go Ludens. You know, it's very team comp dependent, and I choose my build based on my job. There are exceptions though. So if the game is super fast, then I'll go Everfrost because you have to. Because you have to get that spike earlier, otherwise the game's just going to implode anyways. And in the games where you're behind, you need to make picks, so I go Everfrost. So mostly it's like looking at the loading screen during the game and thinking about what my job is that game.
So you're not really a believer in, for you personally, you're not really a believer in kind of specializing in a build type. You're more of a believer in kind of, if you made a journey, you should be able to play all the builds and adapt to whatever the game needs.
Not necessarily. I played 50%, 60% of my games on Ari. So much of my journey was on Ari, so I was able to adapt so much more.
Right.
For Syndra, I pretty much only play like one build. Sometimes I'll play two builds because I don't play her nearly as much. With Pantheon, it's basically just one build because I don't play him as often. But because I play Ari so much and I've specialized in her, then I do. But the familiarity with the with the builds, because I've played so much with this champion, is why I do that.
Okay, that makes total sense. I mean, and what I kind of want to roughly look at here, this lane looks relatively straightforward, is what you do with this pressure. So what's your mindset now? You're approaching level 6, you're getting a lot of fire onto this Nasty, so kind of, deny him a bit of CS,
So, like, I want to play with my jungler, because my jungler helped me get 2 kills. So whatever side of the map my jungler's playing to, whether it's a win condition or not, I want to play with my jungler. So I want to get a really big stacked wave. Even in hindsight, Nasus isn't going to be able to follow anyways, but ideally I want to get a big stacked wave in here so that I can have more time to do things. But like, I probably should have been at that play there, instead of sitting mid lane. Ideally.
Yeah, all the way back here, you probably should have recognized Natalia's posturing aggressively bot side. Maybe even that would an argument to be made here to potentially shove this a little bit faster. AoE this one with the Q and actually back up your Talia on the blue there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because as long as I play with my team, we win the game.
Yeah, and when you get higher as well, you're not just looking at key mistakes, you're probably also looking at missed opportunities, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a testament to that. You got to remember, when you're in platinum, you're making pretty bloody gigantic mistakes. But when you're in D1 Master, the mistakes are still obvious, but there is something to be said with looking at missed opportunities as well. This is all relatively straightforward. Reset, beautiful
base
cannon.
Yep.
This TP I really don't like, and this is the nitpicking now that we would get into here, right? Because empowered TP at 10 minutes. It's a cannon wave, waves coming back to you, you're not really going to miss much farm. I would much prefer you hold that TP, and then we can actually use that TP to favorably impact the map later on and probably complement your bot side. But, again, this is where the nitpicks really come into play, and you can kind of see how, earlier on, there was so much stuff to really break down in the first, few minutes, and in this game, we're just now nitpicking small details, like, okay, you could have shoved him out there, or you should have used TP next to him, and things like that. So I think we've got across the board. So, overall, look, I think that, you're a very great case study. I think there's a lot, people can take away from this, and yeah, I mean, were there any final words that you wanted to, share with anyone? Any shout-outs?
Well, obviously, I want to greatly thank you and Tim for all the work that you guys have put in. I'd like to shout out Hide on Discord and George Bread for being my friends and working in VOD questions with me so much. But yeah, that's really about it. I'm just so... I never thought that Masters would even be achievable for me. Honestly, like, one thing we didn't cover earlier was part of the reason why I swapped to mid lane and came to the mid lane academy, because I really agreed with your philosophy on the game, and I was coming here as a last resort to see if I could hit diamond, and I'm very happy that I did.
Wow, that's amazing, man. Well, thank you so much for your time and being so open and transparent about your journey, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do over the next few seasons, man. So
Yeah.
keep us updated, and we'll take it from there. So thanks for
Yep.
tuning in, everyone. Hope you got a bit of value. Otherwise, we'll see you down in the comment section. Cheers.
Killing spree.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we have something special. We are covering
Double kill. An ally has been slain. You have slain an enemy. Double kill. An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain.
At least I don't have to play against Diana. Don't really have good delivery for my ult this game. And I thought I was going to use Karthus. Like, I don't think we should be engaging on Wukong there. Evelyn doesn't even have ult. We have no kill pressure.
An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain. Enemy killing spree. An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain. Enemy double kill.
I want to type so bad. Uh, this is just like kind of funny, bro. I'm not even tilted. Seraphine said it before me anyways. My CSing could be better, man. I don't know. I freaking Galio CSing's weird. Nice. Unironically might be winnable.
Your turret has been destroyed. An enemy has been slain.
Ooh, that's not good. Oh, okay. Messed that up. Okay, all good. Let's try to get a better game.
Yeah, let's get into the details here. Okay, so first things first. All right. I'm gonna ask you a question here. Do you think that you need your Shadow Flame to win this dragon fight?
No. But I was like, I've got TP, and I was like, better be safe than sorry in case they do contest, because I want to spend all my gold before I go dragon, and I've got TP, so I was like, might as well.
Okay.
Just to...
Totally understandable. I don't really have a problem with that line of thought, but there is a caveat here, okay? TP becomes a very useful, like, tool in the mid game for simplifying your mid game, right? Because TP will allow you to attend fights. It will allow you to have whatever lane assignment. It will kind of solve problems with attending fights and having impact in the mid game. So my mindset here would be, and this may be a little bit overcomplicated, but I do want to plant the seed in here, is if I know I'm going to win this fight anyway, because my team is so far ahead that I don't need my Shadow Flame, I might as well hold my TP, stay on the map, secure the dragon, and then that way later on, right, I don't need to panic, and I can now play the side lane with my TP. You see what I mean? So I just put a premium. I really value highly having TP moving into the mid game, because it just solves a lot of problems. So again, what you did is completely fine. It has a lot of merit. It's a great principle. I have no problem. I just want to get you to start thinking about being a little bit more intentional about that TP usage in the mid game. Now, if you are going to use TP, right? What do we now need to think critically about?
TP being on cooldown.
Okay, but as a result, what's the next neutral objective? What do we see?
Baron.
Okay, and so if we know Baron's the next major neutral objective, what would be the ideal lane assignment for you, given the situation with TP?
I go top.
Spot on, right? You need to go top, and Fiora needs to go bot, because you don't have any adaptability without TP. See what I mean? So if you had TP, you could be a bit more flexible there, but that's fine. Just now that you don't, you have to go top because you don't have TP. What you don't want to be in a scenario where your team is now playing mid to top, and you're late. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So yep, we're just chilling. Luckily, the AD carry and support hadn't swapped on the enemy, so we can just fight with our jungler here. Burn some flashes. Okay. Your team's going in one by one and dying. That's out of your control. Kane catches you off guard. Kills you. That's fine. Game's still fine. Okay. Lovely, lovely, lovely.
I swear to God that locked Scion. What the fuck ever.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift. Minions have spawned.
Guess it was too early for me to push.
An enemy has been slain. Enemy is legendary. Double kill. An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain.
I didn't mean to walk this way. I meant to walk this way. The other way.
Enemy killing spree. Your turret has been destroyed. Ally has been slain. Your turret has been destroyed. Your inhibitor has been destroyed. An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain. Your turret has been destroyed. An enemy has been slain. Shut down. Triple kill. Shut down.
Should have went Hull Breaker. Whatever. Whatever. Don't give a shit. That's probably bad, but bro, I thought they picked Scion. Bro, okay, give me one good game to review, please. It's Briar mid. What the hell? Seraphine ult, Vi ult, Cho'Gath ult. I'm gonna run top ASAP once I get my ult. This feels like a silver game. What is happening?
Rampage. Shut down.
Alright, they FF'd. I'm just never gonna get a good game to review. Like 30 minutes. I can't play another one. Whatever. I guess let me look. That's not good. Oh, okay. Messed that up. Yeah, all good. Let's try to get a better game. Bro, I have no good games. Pop. Bro, he has an actual game. I don't have a game. Whatever. I'm gonna do this Galio game.